Listen to me, Jack, and don't make the same mistake I did. I was the taxi driver everyone in my neighborhood knew. Do you know why? Because I worked non-stop, from dawn until deep into the night. I needed money, my kids were growing up, and life was getting expensive. None of that mattered, as long as I could come home to a safe house at the end of the day. All of that changed in one night. A night I'll never forget. It was around 2 in the morning. I was waiting at the light near Cornish Al Nar, that deserted stretch of road where half the streetlights don't work. I was just about to head home when I saw a young man standing under the only working lamp. He raised his hand calmly to hail me. He looked respectable. Denim jacket, blue shirt, so I stopped and let him in. The moment he entered, a strange scent filled the car. Not bad exactly, but heavy, like old dust mixed with incense. He spoke in formal Arabic. Peace be upon you. I need to go to Al Masaf district, Al Nakhil Street. That district was far, mostly old villas, empty for years. I told him, sir, that's a long way. I was just heading home. He gave me a look, nothing overtly threatening, but it sent chills through my body. Then he said, very softly, the fare will match the distance. You won't lose anything, on the contrary. The way he said, on the contrary, there was something in it, a hidden promise, or a warning. My instincts told me to drive away, but the lure of money was too strong. So I said, all right, and started the engine. For the first 10 minutes, neither of us spoke. I watched him in the mirror. He sat still, staring into nothing, whispering softly, as if talking to himself. Or to someone else beside him. Because soon, I started to feel something was wrong. The temperature in the car dropped suddenly, even though the AC was off and the windows were closed. I told myself it was the night air, but my heart was racing. When we passed the old Bala cemetery, a place everyone avoids at night, he suddenly said, stop here. I frowned. Here, sir. This place is deserted. He replied, I need to check something. Turn off the engine. There was authority in his voice I couldn't defy. I did as he said. He stepped out and walked toward the high cemetery wall. He raised his hand and brushed the air, as if touching something invisible. By chance, I glanced at the rearview mirror, and froze. There was a face behind the glass. Not his face. A pale face with completely black eyes, staring at me. And then it vanished. My heart nearly stopped. I'm not a coward, but this was different. When he came back, I could barely breathe. He got in and said calmly, I work with spirits. Some are good, others are not. Then he smiled, a joyless, hollow smile. That's when I knew I was in trouble. I restarted the car, my hands trembling. Trying to ease the tension, I asked, so, you can see them? He replied, I never travel alone. There's always a companion, or two, or more. Then he added, some of them like to ride taxis to remember their days among the living. Others prefer revenge. Revenge on who? I asked. He looked straight ahead. Anyone who stands in their way. My heart thudded painfully. Was he warning me, or just talking? We drove in silence until we reached Al Masaf. The streets were empty, large, dark villas, dead quiet. He guided me. Left, right, stop in front of the white villa with the black gate. I stopped. The villa was massive, once elegant, but long abandoned, torn curtains, shattered windows. He said, we're done. How much do I owe you? I told him the fare. He nodded. All right, one last request. Could you wait for me inside the car? I won't be long. I just want to say goodbye properly. Goodbye. The words sent a shiver down my spine. No, sir, I said quickly, I really need to get home. His expression changed. The calm look vanished. His eyes sharpened like a hawk's. He said quietly, no one's in a hurry. Your journey with me has only just begun. Then I heard it, a crackling sound. Not outside, from the back seat, like bones snapping. I looked at the mirror, and saw a pale hand, with blue veins, resting on his shoulder from behind. No body, just the hand. I screamed, tried to open the door, but all the locks snapped shut at once. He said, the locks, I didn't close them. My companion, Salem, used to be a jailer. He likes closed doors. I pounded on the windows, begging, cursing, but nothing worked. Then the car began to move, on its own. The steering wheel turned by itself, and the car rolled slowly toward the black gate. The iron gate opened by itself with a long, rusty screech. I slammed the brakes, shifted gears, nothing responded. Something else was driving. The car entered the dark courtyard. The gate closed behind us with a deafening clang. The car stopped. He opened his door, got out, then opened mine. "Come out, Mr. Atef." My blood froze. I never told him my name. He said, "We know everything about those we work with. 3 kids, your eldest daughter in med school, the 2 boys in high school, and your wife, Fatma, right?" He was threatening my family. I knew escape was useless. I stumbled out. The air inside the courtyard was freezing, thick with dust, decay, and the stench of rotten flesh. He led me into the villa. The heavy wooden door swung open by itself. Inside, an empty hall covered in dust. Only a few broken chairs, and in the center, a large rug covered with unlit candles and a chalk circle drawn on the floor, surrounded by strange symbols, bird bones, and animal remains. He said, "You're here to help with a small ceremony." I stammered, What kind of ceremony?" He smiled. "A welcoming. Many want to meet you." Suddenly, all the candles lit at once. Their flames were blue, cold. The light didn't warm, it froze the air. Then I heard them, the whispers, faint at first, like mosquitoes buzzing, then growing louder. Dozens of voices, men, women, children, all speaking at once in a language I couldn't understand. But I could feel their hatred, their pain. The man stood in the circle, arms raised. "My friends," he said, "I've brought you a new guest. A fresh soul, full of life. We can use his energy to open the gate wider, to welcome more guests." From the shadows, shapes began to emerge. Not fully formed, flickering in and out of sight. Some walked, some crawled, some clutched their heads. All of them were moving toward me. One of them, a small child, face twisted, one red eye, stood right before me and reached out a tiny hand. "Daddy," he screamed. I collapsed, crying, "It's over, it's all over." Then, an explosion. The front door burst open. Armed men stormed in, state security. Flashlights blinding, rifles raised. Their leader shouted, "Freeze. Mahmoud the sorcerer, it's over for you and your devil worshippers." Mahmoud, the passenger, just laughed. A mad, echoing laugh. "You're late, officers. The ritual has begun." He shouted a strange word, not Arabic. The blue light turned blood red. The whispers became screams. The spirits rushed toward the officers. Chaos erupted. Bullets flew, but they passed right through the ghosts, shattering walls behind them. The spirits touched the men, who screamed, not in pain, but in pure terror, and fell, convulsing. I crouched in a corner, covering my head. One officer swung his flashlight, reciting Quranic verses at a female apparition holding a knife. The light pushed her back, but didn't banish her. The commander saw me and yelled, "You, the taxi driver, get out, take the car, run." But I couldn't move. My legs were frozen with fear. Mahmoud stood in the circle, tears of blood running down his cheeks. His voice changed, deep, guttural, inhuman. The ground beneath him cracked. Black smoke rose from the fissures. And from the smoke, a massive black cloud. Hand began to emerge. The commander shouted, "That's no ghost, that's something else. Prepare yourselves." The officers gathered, reciting the Quran loudly. A brilliant white light surrounded them, pure, blinding. The spirits shrieked, retreating from it. But the black hand kept rising. Mahmoud chanted faster. Then came a sound I'll never forget, like bones breaking mixed with the screams of a million souls. The white light collided with the red circle. A massive shockwave hurled me against the wall. Everything went dark. When I woke, there was a constant ringing in my ears. The villa was wrecked, walls shattered, candles extinguished. Morning light filtered through broken windows. The commander sat on the floor, covered in dust, hair turned almost white. He looked at me and said, "You're alive. Thank God." I croaked, "What happened? Where is he?" He sighed, "Gone. Him and his dead followers. But not forever. People like him always find a way back." It turned out Mahmoud wasn't just a serial killer. He murdered people to use their souls in dark rituals, trying to control the other side and harness its power. State security had been tracking him for months. They knew he'd show up at that villa for a major summoning, and I, unfortunately, was the perfect sacrifice at the perfect time. I asked, "Why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you stop me?" He looked weary. "If we'd stopped you, he'd have found someone else. We needed him to begin the ritual so he'd be vulnerable. But we nearly paid a heavy price." I walked out of the villa, broken. The sun was shining, but inside me, only darkness. My taxi was still there in the yard. No sign of what had happened. Since that night, I've never been the same. I can't work after dark. I can't drive through deserted areas. If a passenger asks to go somewhere remote, I refuse, no matter how much they offer. People say I'm just getting old. But I know the truth. I know there are other worlds around us, and people like Mahmoud who exploit them. And I know those evil spirits never forget the face of the one who almost became their prey. And I know, one night, he might come.